So I asked I told my dad, I was like, I'm writing a book. And he was like, all right. I think he thought this meant like a long paper. And he's like, well, what are you writing it on? And I said, innovation within the federal government. And he looked at me and kind of like really quizzically and said, what are you talking about? That is not a thing. And I'm like, well, that's why I'm writing the book.
People often ask me, Eric, why do you use a book? Why not something else? Like, why not a digital media, a podcast, something else that's digital? In a world that's so digital, why are you going analog? And the reason really is that a book still means something. It's an amazing tool. It's something you can feel, you can touch, you can hand to something. There's a physical representation of your work. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And ultimately, when you complete it, you publish it, you have something in your hands. But perhaps even more important than that is the simple act of being able to hand someone that book and the doors it opens. And so what I think is amazing about this process of taking anyone through the process of creating something of this depth, of this importance, is that a book is a tool designed to open doors. And here's a few stories of some incredible doors that open from these students even before their books were published.
Yeah, so a lot of exciting things have come up. I've recently I'm collaborating with a Georgetown alum and we're launching a food media publication. Cool. And so I'll be doing a lot of writing, a lot of curating content, a lot of social media engagement, and really spreading this conversation about food and in our generation and how things are changing. And so I'm just excited to be able to be a part of this and be surrounded by others in the food space.
Sure, so I'd say it's two things. One, I got to bring up my book in an interview for a job, and I actually got that job for the summer.
High five.
Yeah, exactly. Woo! So it was pretty exciting. I got to bring it up. It was a good topic of conversation, and not only that, but it shows that I had kind of written a book, or I was in the process of writing a book and publishing a book. It was actually a few days after my manuscript was due. So. On another note, I got to interview the president of minor league baseball over the phone, which for me was a really cool experience.
One really great, path that's come out of this is recognizing that there's a position like nonprofit consultant. And consulting always interested me. I love problem solving, that kind of thinking. And to be able to, within this research, find my own little niche therein was awesome. And I actually got a book blurb from a managing director at Accenture's nonprofit practice, which is really awesome. They're one of the foremost nonprofit consulting companies in the industry.
So before I decided to work on my business full time, I was applying to jobs and I got an interview to be an associate at a retail incubator, which is usually only reserved for MBA students or post MBAs to get a job there. So it was really exciting for me as a senior in college to be able to interview and to have them be excited to have me come in to interview because I don't have any work experience otherwise. So that was exciting.
So there have been a lot of interesting opportunities that have, that have arisen through this process. So again, I got on a cryptocurrency podcast, weekly podcast that was awesome. I'm a weekly contributor on that, but actually more recently, people on LinkedIn have actually been reaching out to me, and these are people who are founders. They have startups that are pursuing ICOs, and they've been asking me for advice. So so I've been reviewing white papers, pitch decks, their websites, their concepts, and I've been getting on calls with people in London, and who just kind of want to get my take on it. And so, not many people, and I haven't been charging for my services, but it really feels like I'm contributing. And I'm in no means an expert, but I know a thing or two. And a lot of startups are drawn to this method of fundraising, and I think that I have a lot to offer.